From Northern Avenue in Yerevan, this is CivilNet's Daily News Digest. I'm Maria Titizian, and here are the top stories from Monday, March 17. Armenia's opposition factions in the National Assembly continue their consultations. Also, a dialogue, or a war of words over the unresolved Karabakh conflict takes to the pages of Twitter. Plus, Turkey's foreign ministry responds to the Swiss government's decision to appeal. And later, hear Armenia's submission to the 2014 Eurovision Song Contest. The four opposition factions in parliament held a meeting behind closed doors at the National Assembly on Friday. While details of their consultations were not made known, several opposition members said that they are moving forward with formulating a unified political agenda. The next scheduled round of talks will take place on March 19. The opposition parties have been discussing the possibility of tabling a vote of non-confidence in Prime Minister Tigran Sarkisyan. The parliamentary factions also met with members of the Dem.am, or I Am Against It civic initiative, ahead of a scheduled protest against the mandatory pension measure on March 22. CivilNet will be live streaming the rally. Over the weekend, several dozen members of the Dem.am civil initiative held a bicycle rally through the streets of Yerevan to continue raising awareness about the controversial mandatory pension legislation that went into effect on January 1 of this year and which has sparked periodic protests in the country. A tweeting war over Nagorno-Karabakh continues. Novruz Mamadov, the deputy chief of staff of Azerbaijani president, on Friday tweeted, "Judging by his tweets, Mr. Warlick enjoys good understanding with the Armenian side. Perhaps their positions coincide." The implication being that the U.S. has come to some kind of an agreement with Armenia. James Warlick, the U.S. co-chair of the OSCE Minsk Group, has been actively tweeting over the last several months about different meetings in the effort to find a peaceful solution to the Karabakh conflict. Here at CivilNet, we have been closely following and reporting about his tweets. Back in February, Warlick, buoyed by a decision by the leaders of Cyprus and occupied northern Cyprus to begin negotiations, tweeted, "Why can't this happen for Nagorno-Karabakh?" This tweet led to speculations that the American co-chair was calling for Karabakh's participation in the talks. The Foreign Ministry of NKR was quick to respond back then and tweeted, "Ambassador James Warlick, we agree it's high time for restoration of full-fledged negotiations with direct participation of Nagorno-Karabakh." Following his tweet about Warlick, Mamadov went on to deride the EU foreign policy chief, Catherine Ashton, about her visit to an Armenian church in New Julfa during an official visit to Iran. Mamadov tweeted, "Madam Ashton may have pledged to visit an Armenian church in any part of the world." The Turkish Foreign Ministry has issued a statement regarding the Swiss government's decision to appeal a ruling handed down by the European Court of Human Rights in the Doğu Perinçek versus Switzerland case. The ruling effectively had questioned the veracity of the Armenian genocide. The Foreign Ministry statement read, "We have learned through the written statement by the Swiss Federal Office of Justice on March 11 that Switzerland has decided to object to this judgment and refer it to the Grand Chamber of the ECHR. Having full confidence in the rule of law, we expect that the Grand Chamber will confirm once more and forcefully that freedom of expression, which is the building block of democratic societies, is safeguarded. In this way, we believe that the efforts to politicize the law will be aborted once again." Rated SR Socially Relevant Film Festival New York kicked off last week in New York City. The festival will be screening over 50 movies from 18 countries around the world. The mission of the festival is to focus on socially relevant human stories and to raise awareness of social problems through the powerful medium of cinema. The founding artistic director and festival curator Nora Armani spoke to CivilNet about the mission and vision for the festival and the tragic event that inspired it. Here's a short clip.
This particular festival has two different meanings. One of them is a reaction to the proliferation of violence, increasing violence, gratuitous violence that we see on our screens on a daily basis. The other one is also a personal homage that I'm doing for the memory of my cousin and my uncle, who about 10 years ago were victims of a hate crime.
To watch the full interview, you can follow the link on your screen. Documentary filmmaker Adriana Grigorian was at the Commission on the Status of Women at the United Nations to participate in the event Discriminated Before Birth, Sex Selection as a Form of Gender-Based Violence last week. It was sponsored by World Vision US and the Armenian Relief Society. Grigorian was invited to be a panelist and talk about her documentary film Pavagan, which explores the alarming practice of gender selection abortions in Armenia through the stories of 4 women. She spoke to CivilNet via Skype from New York City. Here's a short clip.
Our panel was organized by World Vision and Armenian Relief Society, and we were discussing discrimination before birth, which is about sex selection abortion, specifically in Eastern Europe, using Armenia as a case study. And basically, Armenia, with the UNFPA, Garik Hayrapetyan and his team in Yerevan have taken a leadership role among the region to address this issue.
To watch the full interview, please follow the link. As we have reported in the past, the Sիվիլիթաս Foundation and its media project CivilNet have expanded their activities into Turkey, where a rotating staff of journalists cover events transpiring in that country and report on the Armenian community. Our reporters in Istanbul filed a report about Turkish journalists who work at Agos, the Armenian-Turkish weekly newspaper. After the murder of its editor Hrant Dink, Turks and Kurds came to work there along with many Armenians. Their desire to work at the weekly publication was inspired by the memory of Dink and the need for the Turkish press to provide alternative views. Take a look.
Զեյնեբն Ակոսի թուրք լրագրողներից մեկն է։ Սովորել է լրագրություն, բայց շատ չէր ցանկանում աշխատել այդ ոլորտում։ Hrant Dinki սպանությունից հետո մտածեց, որ թե իր զարգացման, թե սեփական խղճի հանգստության համար կարևոր է Ակոսում աշխատելը։ Հետո սիրեց աշխատանքն ու այժմ թերթի արվեստի եւ մշակույթի բաժնում է։
Առաջին անգամ, որ ասացի գնում եմ Ակոսում աշխատելու, ծնողներս մի քիչ անհանգստացան։ Նրանց անհանգստացնում էր այն, որ աշխատելու եմ մի թերթում, որի գլխավոր խմբագրին սպանել են, իսկ թերթն ընդհանրապես մշտական ճնշումների եւ հարձակումների թիրախում է։
To watch the full report, you can follow the link. Armenian chess champion Grandmaster Levon Aronian defeated Shahryar Mamadyarov of Azerbaijan on Friday in round 2 of the candidates tournament taking place in Khanty-Mansiysk, Russia. The World Chess Federation's candidates tournament will determine the challenger who will face the current title holder of world champion, Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen of Norway, for the prestigious World Chess Federation's World Championship later this year. Aronian, who was the top seed in this tournament, lost to India's Viswanathan Anand in round 1. The tournament continues with another 11 rounds to go. Aram MP3, a well-known actor, comedian, and singer, will be representing Armenia at Eurovision 2014 in Copenhagen. His song, Not Alone, was premiered over the weekend. Composed by Aram MP3, the lyrics were written by Garik Baboyan, the musical arrangement by Lilit Navasartyan, and the music video for the song was directed by Grigor Gasparyan. In an interview for Eurovision, Aram said that the song is very personal and emotional and has a universal message, that is, fight for love. Eurovision will start on May 6 and conclude presenting Armenia at Eurovision 2014 in Copenhagen. His song, Not Alone, was premiered over the weekend. Composed by Aram MP3, the lyrics were written by Garik Baboyan, the musical arrangement by Lilit Navasartyan, and the music video for the song was directed by Grigor Gasparyan. In an interview for Eurovision, Aram said that the song is very personal and emotional and has a universal message, that is, fight for love. Eurovision will start on May 6 and conclude with the finals on May 10. We now present Aram MP3's song, Not Alone. forecast, it's going to be a rainy day in Yerevan with a high of 14 and a low of 3. Gyumri is expecting snow with a high of 3 and a low of -3. The capital of Artsakh will have a high of 15 and a low of 1, and our travel forecast takes us to the capital of Bangladesh, Dhaka, where it will be sunny and hot with a high of 35 and a low of 19. The history of the Armenian community in Bangladesh is largely forgotten and neglected. The community has its roots in Safavid Persia after Shah Abbas of Persia deported approximately 300,000 Armenian traders and artisans to Isfahan from Nakhichevan. The newly established community, trained in the art of trade and commerce, began looking to the east for new opportunities. Having a commercial network spanning from England to Singapore, Bangladesh was not left out. The Armenian community in Bangladesh, most notably in the city of Dhaka, began in the 18th century as Armenians were heavily involved in the jute trade. Many prominent Armenian businessmen had established companies in the industry, such as Mr. Sarkis and Sons and Mr. David and Company. Jute, which is a vegetable fiber that can be spun into coarse and strong threads, has many applications. However, as the British Empire's power grew in the region, British companies began to monopolize the jute industry. The Armenians were still an important aspect of Bangladeshi trade and were dominant buyers of Bangladeshi silk. As the Armenian community became more established, they began building community centers primarily based around churches. By 1787, Armenians had completed building the Church of the Holy Resurrection, and by 1907, a belfry, clock tower, and parsonage were added to the church. As a result of their involvement in international trade, many Armenian merchants in Bangladesh became notoriously famous, especially Khoja Wajid. Wajid was a monopolist in the highly profitable saltpeter trade in the mid-1800s. Saltpeter was one of the most desirable commodities back in the day, and because of Wajid's business deals, he became known as one of the 3 merchant princes of Bengal, along with Mahrab, Saurub, and Omi Chand. Tensions with the East India Company eventually led to his demise. Other notable Bangladeshi Armenians are military leader Khoja Gregory, J.G. Nicholas Pogose, one of the founders of Dhaka Bank, and Khoja Israel Sarhand, an important businessman who assisted the East India Company. By 1868, there were 6 Armenian zamindars, Bangladeshi aristocrats. Today, the community has dramatically declined. Only one member of the community is said to be left by the name of Michael Joseph Martin, who is the caretaker of the church. In an interview with the BBC in 2003, Mr. Martin had stated, "I may be the last resident Armenian in Bangladesh, but I will do everything in my power to ensure an Armenian from abroad takes over the job." The area where the church remains is still called Armenitola. Interesting graves are located in the nearby Armenian cemetery of the church, especially those who died at the hands of pirates. And that is our digest for this Monday, March 17. You can write to us on english@civilnet.am and can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We leave you today with a Bengali folk song called Sadar Lao, performed by Runa Laila. Enjoy, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.
বানাইলো মোরে বৈরাগী ও সাধের লাও বানাইলো মোরে বৈরাগী ও সাধের লাও বানাইলো মোরে বৈরাগী ও সাধের লাও বানাইলো মোরে বৈরাগী